What do we do in Rotary? Service. See, you know, keep, C for can, C for club, soup, service. That's what. Come on, it's early. Anything to wake you up. All right, so Rotary is service. So rather than getting into all the little intricacies about what we do, I like to say Rotary is a service organization. It's an international service organization. It's a volunteer international service organization. It's the world's oldest service organization, whatever you want to say. But it's a service organization that gives me the opportunity to help people in other lands that need help, to bring food to starving children, to do life-saving operations to children who need it. That's simple about Rotary. Okay, now this is a audience participation. So someone has card number 1. Would you read it out loud? Not the one.
Number.
Have a clear message. Rotary is a service organization. Each club performs service in their own unique way.
Right. So the thing is to have a clear message. And if you look on the Rotary International websites, they give you some other examples of clear messages. Rotary is a service organization. Now, it said in that card that we're each unique, right? This is clam chowder, this is minestrone, it's all soup. Mid-Bergen does Rotary one way, you do Rotary another way, Hoboken does Rotary a third way, we're still all doing Rotary. We're all unique. But one other thing is we are a team, right? Because carrots by themselves don't really make a meal. But if you mix them with all the other ingredients, they become a meal. And so we can work together. All right, someone has card number 2.
Through Rotary, I can accomplish things much bigger than I could do on my own.
Duet.
Whoa! But you know what? They did that together, so maybe by doing it together you were louder. Okay. We are it says, through Rotary, we are a team, right? Through Rotary, you can do things much better than I can accomplish on my own.
Right,
Bigger
together.
Bigger. Okay. Does anybody have an example of how in Rotary someone has been able to do something much bigger than themselves, than they could do on their own? Yes?
Working on Sandy.
Hurricane Sandy. Yes, that's right. Because through Rotary, our district, by the way, became the hub for the 5 districts or 6 districts that were affected by Sandy. And so we had an organized effort, and all the money came in. By the way, you know we collected, I think, $680,000.
Wow.
And that we distributed, right? I know, because I'm the one who had to take all the checks in. But anyway, but how about well, Ron mentioned the Military Family Assistance Center. Idea I had, but if it wasn't for Rotary, it wouldn't have been able to happen. But let me give you a bigger example. What's the big thing in Rotary? Polio, right? That was the idea of one person. One person who was a doctor, I think it was 25 years ago, 27 years ago, came up with the idea and says, look, we can eradicate polio from the earth. He was a Rotarian, he brought it to Rotary, and look at what's happened. What, $3.5 billion, $4 billion later? It's almost gone. One person could do that. So now you can say something else when you talk about Rotary. Rotary is an international service organization that allows me to help people in my community, people around the world. It gives me the opportunity to do things much better than I can do on my own. Right? Now, in sales, there's a thing called a hook. So you got to have the hook. So after you say all that, you say, well, maybe that's interesting to you. You want to learn more? Okay, there's always a sales, right? All right, so there's card number 3.
Keep the brand. Be the headliner, not the stagehand.
Right, keep the brand. Okay, one thing about Campbell's soup. The name, no matter what the soup is, right, it says Campbell's on the top. It's always Campbell's. Now, do we know who made the can?
No.
Do we know the farmers? Do we know who made the label? No. We only know the headliner. We don't know any of the other players. Sometimes in Rotary, we get so caught up in helping other organizations, and that's a good thing, we lose our identity. once, years ago, my Rotary Club, Ron, you'll remember this, we were working with Rebuilding Together in Bergen County. So there was a home in Hasbrook Heights, needed some renovations. I think the people were out of work and needed some help. And so our whole Rotary Club, our entire Rotary Club was there, right? We had our Rotary shirts on. We were all ready to help people fix this house. When we got there, Rebuilding Together gave us all shirts. So we all had these yellow shirts with black letters, Rebuilding Together, Bergen County, and we all put them on and we went and did our thing, and there was all these pictures that were taken. And in the newspaper, it showed pictures of us working on this house, and Rebuilding Together helps homeowner in Hasbrook Heights. Oh yeah, and Mid-Bergen Rotary Club was there. We lost our identity. Now, for many years that was okay, because, you know, we had members, we had money, it was not a big deal. We could do it that way. But now you see membership sometimes is a little challenging because of the times, and so we need to have members. Plus, there's a lot of work to do out there, so we need people. So that's why you have to think about being the headliner, because people go to the headliner. I'm going to give you an example. Let's take Mick Jagger. Not the most attractive guy in the world, but women would flock to see Mick Jagger, right? He's not a reverent guy at all, right? He's actually kind of irreverent if you listen to his music, yet he was knighted. He was made a knight, right? That's supposed to be someone who's chivalrous. Why? Because he's the headliner, right? They didn't give it to the camera guy. They didn't give it to the makeup guy that makes him look presentable on TV. And I don't mean to disparage Mick Jagger. I'm just making an example of why it's so important to be the headliner and not the stagehand. Now, there is one other exception. Sometimes it's good to be the supporting actor, right? For example, if you say like Pedals for Progress or some of these other organizations, or this is Toys for Tots, right? You're collecting toys for Tots, but it's a Rotary function. People are giving it to the Rotary Club, who will then help another organization. So you're the supporting actor there, and that's just as good. Don't get me wrong, we should help other clubs, but if you're looking for members, if you're looking for other hands to help do the work, got to be the headliner. All right, the next card, I think we're number 4. Okay. This is
There is a lot of work to do. Maybe they'll become Rotarians. There's
a lot of work to do. They didn't say something at the top of the page in big black letters? Thank you. The big black letters are the important part. Okay, use volunteers. I'm going to go back to my Campbell soup, right? These are concentrates, just like our clubs. Our clubs are concentrates of service. But these cans of soup work better if we add water. We work better if we add volunteers, right? So when we do our projects, we really should keep in mind that we want to bring in volunteers. Now, one thing that happened about Hurricane Sandy, that was mentioned before, is that through Hurricane Sandy, because we got involved with a lot of other organizations and a lot of people in our neighborhood wanted to help out, they all of a sudden saw what we were doing, they learned about Rotary, and they became members. The Hawthorne Rotary Club got the award for the biggest membership growth. It's not because they did a lot of Rotary things, they did a lot of service projects, and they got the community involved. And when the community learned what they were doing, what Rotary was all about, they got members. So there's a twofold thing. One, there's a lot of work to do. We need a lot of hands. But sometimes people will see the cause and like to become part of it. All right, card number 5.
Change is good. Must adjust to meet the market. Stay relevant or die.
Yeah, stay relevant or die. The example I think of about that is that in 1947 is when the Rotary Foundation really became big. That happens to be the year Paul Harris, our founder, died. And so a lot of people contributed to the foundation in his memory, and then it got that big corpus, and then the foundation started doing great work. That's the same year Polaroid started making cameras, right? And Polaroid became a big company. Well, in 2008, they declared bankruptcy because why? They didn't change.
No, relevant.
They didn't realize that a digital camera was going to replace them. They were no longer relevant. So we in Rotary have to change, to adapt, to be relevant in what we do and how we do it. And that has to do with the people we serve or our community, right? If we are, we have to make it worth people's while to come to a meeting. We have to make it worth people's while to help in our service organizations. And we have to do relevant activities. People don't have time, or they say they don't have time, to come and have lunch or to come and have breakfast. You know, they say, I got other things to do. But if you make it important, something that is important to them, then they'll come. Now, here, I'm going to go back to Campbell's Soup. It's a great analogy. Campbell's Soup had to change. What happened? You know, they were doing the concentrate, but, you know, Progresso came along and Healthy Choices came along, and they all came along with soup that weren't concentrates, but they had big chunks and stuff like that. So Campbell's came up with home style, and they have other soups, and they have low sodium soups, and they have all these other things to meet the consumer needs. Stay relevant. All right. Card number 6. Nice and loud.
What is Rotary?
Okay, everybody, what is Rotary? Yes, thank you very much. Rotary is a service organization. So now, these are all the tips you need to be a nice, healthy, and vibrant club. Just think of Campbell's Soup, right? Have a clear message, right? We're a team, we work together, be the headliner, not the stagehand, and we do better if we have volunteers. Thank you. Any questions?